Oh, yes, you are correct to woo as such. Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. We are already 6 episodes into a spectacular Season 2 for Seth MacFarlane's space adventure series, The Orville. And if his recent tweets are to be believed, things are about to get crazy. Our first guest today, she's the latest to join the cast of the hit show as The Orville's new chief of security, Tala Kiali. The great Jessica Szohr is in the building. How about that, everybody? We excited Jessica's here? I am. Are you? You better be excited. This is going to be awesome. We're going to bring her out in just a second. But before we do, I believe we have a quick look at the show. So let's go ahead and run that clip. Ladies and gentlemen, make a ridiculous amount of noise. The great Jessica Szohr is right here. Here we are. Jessica, first of all, congratulations on this role and on being on this show. It is so awesome. You're so awesome. I'm so happy for you and so excited for you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for being here and hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
There we go. They're waving back. You can't see it at home, but there were lots of waves. There's easily 15,000 people in the room with us right now, so the energy is palpable.
Yeah. Hello.
I'm really excited to talk to you about this. We're going to get into it in a second. Just first and foremost, how are you doing? How's Jessica? How's life?
I'm doing well. Love being back in the city. Yeah, it's a little cold for me right now, but definitely woke me up a little bit this morning. But yeah, I'm happy to be back. I love being a part of the Orville, and yeah, things are great.
Excited, things are good.
Yeah.
It's a good time right now. Well, let's talk about the Orville. How did you come to be a part of this wonderful show? I know years ago you were in Ted 2 for a little bit. Is this coincidental that you're working with Seth again in this way, or like?
I don't know if it's coincidental, but I've known Seth for years.
You've known him for a while.
Yeah, I took a meeting with him probably about a year ago. We sat in Beverly Hills, and he pitched me Tala and kind of told me where the show was going and where the character was, and gave me, a couple days to think about it, and there wasn't a lot of thinking to do. I mean, it's Seth MacFarlane. He's a genius. It's a cool show, and even just the storylines and the underlining, current issues that we touch on in this like space world and the politics, all of that. He just does it in such a way that's is awesome. So I was like, yep. I'll do it. Let's go.
Totally. The tone of the show, it's very much in his voice. And one of those things I've always loved about the way he tells a story and the way he does jokes, he grounds the comedy in just mundane reality, like little moments between the crew. And then like the politics and the heart and the message and the story is like through this sci-fi lens. He does a great job of balancing all of that. How much of that is already waiting for you right there on the page? How much are you guys finding during the reads when you're working together? How does it all come together?
I mean, when I get the scripts, I'm like, sometimes I'm a little bit in and I'm like, where in the heck is this going? Because some of the stuff is so out there. And then you finish and you're like, oh my God, that was rad and I didn't expect this. And oh my gosh, but a lot of it is there. But we have we have so much fun all playing off of each other, and our table reads are very helpful, and just how good the writing is on the page, and the directing is great, and he overlooks it all, and is on set also because he's the lead. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So it's just nice to have his voice and his vision there at all times, and he's so specific, and as he should be. To the point where sometimes we'll have 500 extras, and he'll see someone way in the back and be like, "Can you raise your?" I'm like, if that's what we're worried about. No, I'm just kidding. I get it, and I appreciate it. But
it's cool to see such a precise
vision. And I know it's
vision.
all important.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just like, we have like a spaceship coming in here, and people from this planet and this, and we're like.
Well, no, exactly, because in your head it's like there's things in this frame that are going to pull focus. I don't know that we're going to see the one guy in the background.
But in the way everything works is that, and that's why he's so successful and his projects do so well. So. But I also think going from like watching Ted and then watching The Orville and then watching Family Guy, I'm like, the way he does things, it's just, I'm like, can I get in your brain for like a day and just like.
Well, that's the thing I was going to ask. This is also a really cool opportunity just as a creative to sort of observe how his mind works a little bit and get into that zone, because he doesn't direct all of them, but he has directed a couple episodes. I think he directed the most recent one that you were in as well. So that's a whole new level at which that you get to sort of observe rather than just be present and be in a scene with him and stuff like that. Have you been like trying to find those moments to like be a little sponge and just kind of absorb?
Yeah, for sure. And just he always has, between like writing, acting in it, being the creator, having other projects, when he directs, the way he has like such an ease to him. And as an actor, when you're working with the director, you want that not that he gives me the confidence, I have to go in with that and do enough work on my own, but like there's something in there where I feel very safe and I trust him so much, which is such an important thing between an actor and a director. And having all that going on, the way he gives a little note, or he just does it with such ease that it's like, oh my gosh. And I'm like stressed out and I only have one of the jobs you're doing this entire episode. So
pretty wild.
Yeah.
Talking about finding or having the confidence in coming into a role, you're doing something this particular season that for any actor is not really easy to do. You're coming into a show that's an established universe. You're stepping into the shoes of a character the audience is already connected with. You have a lot that you have to do in the first couple episodes, and I think you're doing a great job at it. And if the internet is to be believed, people really love what you're doing as well. Like it's really working out.
So
it's going
happy.
great. Oh, for sure, you're crushing it. But I got to imagine, did you feel coming into this before any of that a lot of pressure, a lot of stress? Like what was it like doing that and being in that position?
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. Between Shameless, Gossip Girl, The Orville, Kingdom, a lot of shows that I've come on, whether it's been a season or come on and then become a series regular, I've come on late. I've come on after the pilot or after it's been picked up, and you never know what the dynamic is on set with people. And I've been so blessed and have had such great experiences. Speaking of The Orville coming on, everyone was super friendly and willing to, run lines, offset or over lunch, and so I kind of came in and felt a part of the crew pretty quickly. But it was scary coming on, and people really loved Delara, and she's a great actress, and but you don't know how people are going to respond. And Seth said it might take a couple episodes, and especially nowadays, everyone can voice their opinion. Yeah. On my social media or on blogs, or
for better or worse.
Yeah,
this is
for
an
better or
ability
worse,
we
for
all
sure.
have now.
Exactly.
This is a part of our world. I know what everyone thinks.
Yeah.
About everything now.
Exactly. That's why sometimes I'm like, I'm just not gonna look that up today. But Seth did warn me. He's like, it might take a couple episodes to warm, Tala up to everyone. But I, to my knowledge, or what I'm being told from the network, I think people are liking her right now. So,
did he have any sage wisdom or advice in regards to if there were to be a negative response, how to handle that? Because Seth, Family Guy's entering its 20th season, which, by the way, I'm old. I just learned that the other day. I was like, 20, my God. But when that show first came out, yes, we all loved it, but there was also a faction of people that were like, oh, he's ripping off this. There were haters that didn't think it was as funny, and he took on a lot of that. Even when he does whatever he does, there's always a group of people that don't get his humor or something, and he's had to deal with a lot of that. So as someone who's been through that, who's experienced that, did he say to you, look, if this does happen, if there are these types of comments, here's what I think, or here's how I've dealt with that?
He more or less just said, I'm not sure how people are going to respond, but I know. And I don't know if it was the Valentine's Day episode, but he was like, once we get into that, they will like her. Just trust me, it's going to be fine. But I think everyone had such a liking to Alara that, when you're watching something and it's in your living room or in your space, whether it's on, you're watching it on your phone on the flight or over at your friends, you become invested in these shows and really care about these characters and where they're going and coming, and you should, you're giving time, and hopefully, you're coming on the journey with us. But yeah, I know if I'm watching a show and a character I like is leaving, I don't know how I'm going to feel about the new one coming in. Hopefully I'll like it, but so there was I was a little nervous, but all I can do is work as, extra hard and try to bring Atala to life as best I can. And it's with the writing and working on a show that Seth has created, it's I got a lot going for me with that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I want to, you mentioned the Valentine's Day episode. I want to talk about it because it's just aired and it's such a great episode. Real quick, though, what was your first day on, those sets when you walked in and saw, the ship and all that? Was that crazy?
Well, there's a lot in post.
Yeah.
So, it was crazy because sometimes there's a whole fight sequence going on and we're looking at a green screen. But then it's green screen. And then, but the crazy thing is our eye line being so specific and this crazy space lingo, like. It was a I know there was a lot of like, whoa, this is wild.
Is that because there's a lot of things that are like first times for you, in this show, that being one of them, and then also, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you have like a lot of fun stunts on this show, which is not like a usual thing that you get to do.
Yeah,
that must have been exciting.
I would be so I'm like, how is she gonna do that?
Yeah.
But she has extra like strength from the
gravity
of her planet where she's from. So it's been super awesome and fun, and she does some like really crazy stunts. Actually, one of the times I really wanted to do it on my own, but I think the network was like, let's just let a stunt.
Can you tell us what it is, or would it spoil something?
I can't tell, my stunt double ended up getting hurt and like blacked out, but she and she's okay now. But it was terrifying. I felt so bad, and then we laughed about it a little bit after. Not that she got hurt, but that it looked so badass. She killed it so much. And we were like, oh my God. But we were also like,
incredible.
Right after that, you literally got hurt so badly that like, ooh. But she's okay now, and the stunt looks great.
Has your eagerness to try the stunts been tampered just a little bit?
And she's so good. She's like one of the best in the business. So I was like, if that was happening to her, it was probably very good that I didn't do it.
Probably for the best that you weren't over there. Is there one that doesn't spoil it that you were really excited to do that you can tell us about?
There's just a lot of moments where they like look, they're like Tala, and I'm like breaking doors down and walls, and but yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
What about the makeup and all that stuff? There are people that have it a little bit more intensely than you do on the show for sure, but there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
For Tala.
Peter, who plays Bortus, and I are there a couple hours before everyone, and
Poor Peter.
It's a little over 2 hours, and from the top of my eyelids up, everything's the forehead, things on my nose and my ears, the little ridges, and then a wig. And it's long, but I get in makeup and I lay back and I kind of fall asleep for like 45 minutes, and it's kind of
wake up another person.
Yeah, I'm just like, and I wake up and
that is
and
terrifying.
I'll forget sometimes. I'll like go to my trailer when I have like a break or lunch, and I'll like walk in and I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, or I'll FaceTime my mom and I'm like, oh yeah, and then she'll answer and it's like, oh my gosh. So I sometimes forget that I have it all on.
So it kind of just, once it's on you, just kind of disappears and it just.
Yeah, and everyone's like, is it not? Like, don't you itch? And I honestly I haven't, so I'm very, fortunate in that. But when they take it off and the air like hits my forehead, I'm like, oh my God, wow, I've had this on for 17 hours. And then I'm like, yeah. So.
My God, you must be on a strict skincare regimen if you're covered in makeup for 17 hours.
We have like some of the best makeup.
Yeah, you got to have like a crazy team.
The team is insane, and they do this. Yeah, it's
wild.
a whole like 45-minute thing at the end of the day.
Didn't realize that was a wig.
It's a wig.
It may seem dumb for me to say that, but I thought, it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a wig.
so many fun little bits. All right, let's talk about this most recent episode, because it really was our chance to really get to know Tala and just sort of know more about her below the surface, beyond she can break down the doors and all that stuff, like where she stands and who she is. Because that's one of the great things about the Orville, is they put characters in there like the Mocklins that are very problematic and can polarize people, and you sort of get to understand these characters and see where they fall and how they're divided. Were you excited? How much of that did you know was coming down the pipe, and were you excited to get into that? Like that was something specifically you were looking forward to?
Yeah, I was excited all around because I knew that this character was going to be rad, and I was very excited for that episode because I don't know how many of you have all watched, like that was Tala's episode. So we're all in all of them, but Seth tries to like put an episode around each character. So I was really excited. I liked the message behind it. But with TV, even when a bunch of the scripts are written, especially a new character coming on, you're kind of, even if you do all the work and give all the backstory and all that, you're kind of like learning about the character as it goes. Right. And I when I sign on to a new show, I'm like, oh my God, how did you forget that? Because like, you don't know in episode 5 if you find out something about her past or her history that would have shifted something you did earlier. So it's also fun because you're like learning new things, but.
Do you have to kind of learn as an actor, just like accept that part of the process and let it go? Because like inevitably you will find out something like, oh, I would have played this differently had I known.
You have to. You can't.
How it is.
Yeah, you kind of just have to. Yeah, go with it for sure.
It's like I said back there, and like I've said repeatedly, you do crush it on this show, and it was a great episode for you. And we got to see you do a lot of stuff we haven't seen you do yet. And you had said in the green room, you haven't seen it yet.
I haven't.
You haven't. Is that? Is that because is that
I
a
was
hard thing
ve-
for you to do? Like to watch yourself?
Well, with this show, I was very excited to see things just because there's so much done in post
Right.
that I'm like, I want to see how this ship comes in and the stars and all of that. I was very nervous about this episode, and not in the sense that it's not in good hands, and I know that Seth was in the edit room and all of that, but I haven't yet, and I talked to some of my castmates and. I think the response was good. So I will take a look, but I'm
You're
just
easing
gonna
into it. You're going to watch
give it a minute. Yeah.
Okay, that's not like a. Well, because I'm always interested in that, especially when we have actors on the show. If they can watch themselves perform in certain things or not, and if that's something they have trouble with, seeing themselves on screen and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think it's like I played soccer growing up, and it would be like if I would go back and watch one of the games, it didn't matter if I scored or passed the ball, and it was a good play. You still I'm still like, oh, I should have like cut it back there. So like watching, even if I put in hard work and it was all done well, I'm still gonna be my
Your
hard
own
on
worst
myself.
critic, yeah,
My own worst
yeah.
critic, yeah.
Well, that's part of learning, right? It's part of getting better. That's why you watch the
Yeah.
game tapes, so you could find out those opportunities.
Yeah.
And then forget about them when you're in the moment because you're just responding. But like,
It has
still,
to be, yeah, exactly.
I'd be crazy not to bring this up. Famously, one of your co-stars from a previous show that you were on that people might have heard of is guest starring later on this one. Leighton Meester
Yeah.
be. I think it's like I was looking at I don't know, again, internet. Who knows if it's accurate or not? But it's not for a couple of weeks. It's supposed
she's
to be
coming
in
on in a
March,
couple of weeks.
but she's coming on in a couple of weeks. Naturally, you've already filmed it. You've already done it.
Yeah.
What was that like? Having Leighton back on set
Well,
and all that stuff. Was that cool?
It was so cool. I love Leighton so much, and we always had such a great time working together on Gossip Girl because we were we're friends outside of work.
Yeah.
And Vanessa and Blair couldn't stand each other, so we would, like whether we'd have, dinner the night before work or hanging out or going shopping, and then all of a sudden we'd get to set and they would yell action, and we can't stand each other. So also made it even more fun. But she comes on. Her episode is amazing. I can't really say
No, you
much
can't- you
about
can't
it,
spoil
but
it. We can't talk
but
about
I
the
just
episode
when
itself.
Seth called and was like,
Guess who's coming
Leighton,
to
I'm
town.
like, what? Oh my god! So
Was that the first time you guys have done anything really since?
yeah,
since
I
Gossip Girl?
actually feel like that it's been since Gossip Girl for sure, but I don't think any of us have worked together at all. Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, I think it's only been her and I since.
Was it surreal being in front of a camera again? To be like, because you guys have seen each other, like
Yeah, we've
socially.
definitely
Like,
seen
you've
each other.
But like now you're working, like that's a little
Yeah,
bit
and
different.
it's an interesting episode. So
Oh man, I can't wait.
yeah.
I can't wait. Did you guys? I mean, like, has it been 10? You guys
Yeah,
were working
10.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like the show went off the air. I want to say 2012, but like you guys were right? Is it?
Yeah,
somewhere in there?
12, 13
Yeah.
maybe.
Does it feel like it's been that long, or is it one of those things where you look back and you go, "No, I'm still in high school." Like
Yeah,
you don't realize like how long
It-
you've been out.
Yeah, I also feel like there was a moment where I just thought like the show was done and no one watched it anymore, and then there's this little thing called Netflix that I'm like, oh, people are still very interested in this world and
It
that
has
show.
not gone away. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I see some of the cast and we don't look like we're 19 anymore, then I'm like, wow, that really was a while ago. But and then when I'm here, I'm like, I pass a street that we filmed on. I'm like, that also seems like yesterday. So it's a little bit of a mix.
You filmed this in LA, right?
We filmed this on the Fox lot. Yeah,
Yeah, that's got to be a lot nicer.
it's nice. Yeah,
Weather-wise,
and we're
weather-wise.
never on location. Like here, we were always on location.
Oh, you did, yeah.
And I felt like it was always cold.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've been here. I can tell you, it is.
Yeah.
It's been always cold. Hasn't changed. But you do miss it though. You miss New York a little bit.
I
Miss
do.
something?
When I come, there's just a vibe and an energy to this city that is like nothing else. So I do. Yeah.
We got to go to audience Q&A in a second, but there was one last thing I wanted to ask you. Obviously, I was combing through the IMDb here, and I saw this. You can tell me if this is accurate or not. You worked with Jamie Foxx on his directorial debut, All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
That must have been freaking awesome. What was it like working with him?
It was incredible. I mean, honestly, how blessed and
Yeah,
lucky
right?
am I? He's
100%.
another one of the most, talented people in the business, from comedy to drama to directing, writing, stand-up. It's crazy. It was awesome. He brought out some comedy moments for me that I didn't know I had in there. Yeah, and he was really, for how much he also had going on, he was such a good actor's director on every level. And we had a blast. We couldn't stop. I mean, He's hilarious. So
Working with
Couldn't-
guys like Jamie and Seth and watching them like these sort of jack of all trades, wearing many hats things, has that inspired you? Do you want to do that too one day? Do you want to run the whole show? Do you want to direct? Do you want to write? Do you want to act? Do you want to do it all at once?
I'll always want to act. I have such a passion for that. And I have so many stories that I want to tell. So I have a friend and I are kind of writing something right now. But I don't know that I'm trying to write, direct, run a whole ship like those
it's
two
a
are.
lot, for sure.
Yeah. But there are other things that I
Very,
have
very
up my
cool.
sleeve for sure.
Very, very cool. All right. Well, I've eaten up all of my time, so I have to turn over to the audience. We have a couple of questions over there, but I do want to thank you. This has been so much fun.
Thank you.
We're
This is
not done
awesome.
yet. Orville is, what I wrote it down so I wouldn't mess it up here for you. I believe it's Thursdays. Yep, there we go. Thursdays on Fox at 9. I love the show. I DVR it. I watch it all the time. It's fantastic. You're fantastic. If you're not watching this show, watch this show. It's on Hulu as well, so you can catch up. All right, Luke, how many I got? I got 2 in the room. All right, let's do the first question right here. Go for it.
Hi.
Hi.
The show takes place 400 years in the future, so I wanted to know if you were to ever star on a show that took place in the past, what decade would you like it to be in?
Oh, that's a good question. Ooh. I maybe like there's something about the 70s that I really like, and I feel like I should have been born in the 70s. But I also feel like there's so many films and TV shows that have been done. So maybe something like early 1900s, like way far back. Yeah.
Way back.
Yeah.
I hear costume-wise, it's going to be very uncomfortable for you.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, I have a fake head and face now, so.
Fair enough. Yeah. Why not? Why not throw a question
Yeah.
in there? All right. Cool. We're gonna do one more. We got one more question for you right here. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Jessica.
Good morning.
So, you're going to do a lot of action scenes in the Orville. How comfortable it is to move around in your uniform?
How comfortable?
How comfortable
It's
is it?
pretty stiff. So honestly, it's not as. I hope when you watch it, it doesn't seem as stiff as it feels sometimes. But I also feel like the stiffness in it for the role of her being, the chief of security. I think it's very fitting for her, but it's not super comfortable.
Watch deflectors. You're pretty good.
There we go. Well, all right, I want to thank you again for being here. I want to thank our audience for being an awesome audience, having great questions, and for not asking if there's going to be a Gossip Girl reunion. We'll find out. They'll let us know. They will tell us when it's going to happen. And congratulations again on a fantastic role and a fantastic job on this wonderful show. It was so much fun having you here. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Everybody,
Thank you guys so much.
please make a crazy amount of noise. It's Jessica Szohr. Let's do it up. Come on, say thank you. Let's go.